It's a cliche at this point to say Disney owns a lot of things. However, something they acquired over 25 years ago that they used to treat as a big deal is now barely even mentioned by the mouse, outside of its availability on Disney+. I am referring to Doug. A controversial ownership among fans of this imaginative lad from Bluffington, Disney's treatment of Doug and how they got a hold of him is a fascinating story. Doug was the creation of Jim Jenkins, who came up with the character in the 80s and originally considered making him the lead in a children's book. He could not find any interested publishers, but Doug did eventually appear in commercials for Florida grapefruit growers, narrated by Lorenzo Music.
Why is grapefruit juice like a pogo stick? Sure, grapefruit juice doesn't spring up and down, but it'll put a spring in your step, and it's much more refreshing than bouncing around all day. So for a refreshing step, let go of your pogo and stick to Florida grapefruit juice.
He also showed up in bumpers for the USA Network alongside his dog Porkchop. Eventually, Jenkins heard about Nickelodeon taking pitches for original animated series. Nick immediately bought the show, and it became one of their first animated programs. Curiously, they did not buy all the rights of the character, and instead made a deal with Jenkins that if they canceled Doug before it reached 65 episodes, he was allowed to take it to another network. Despite the show's acclaim and popularity, Nickelodeon elected to end the series at 52 episodes, much to Jenkins' disappointment. He shopped it around, with ABC being the most enthusiastic. It was during this period that Disney showed an interest in buying ABC, which they eventually did in 1996. Disney showed great interest in Doug, as the show strengthened the channel's Saturday morning lineup, and Jenkins agreed to sell his animation studio, Jumbo Pictures, to the company. While Nickelodeon did retain the rights to the original 52 episodes, Disney acquired all licensing, merchandise, and any future usage of the characters. Disney's brand spanking new Doug premiered on ABC in September 1996 and proved to be a major rating success. This continued when it became one of the flagship shows of ABC's One Saturday Morning block the following year. Jumbo Pictures also became an important contributor to Disney's animated television shows in the late 90s. Jenkins and his producing partner, David Campbell, were given the reins on one of Disney's most cherished IPs, with 101 Animations the series, and were responsible for the beloved Playhouse Disney cartoon PB&J Otter. Jenkins has described this period in his career as an exciting one, with Disney showing a lot of support for Doug, although working on 3 shows at the same time did keep him busy. The general fan consensus regarding the Disney-produced episodes of Doug tends to view them as a major downgrade from the Nickelodeon seasons. Even Jenkins and Campbell have said they prefer the Nick episodes. Is that entirely fair? I will admit I do have some nostalgia for Disney's Doug, which probably plays a role in my opinion on the matter. I did watch Nickelodeon's Doug, but I'm actually a lot more familiar with the Disney incarnation. What makes the series appealing is Doug's likability, as he learns life lessons and dreams up elaborate scenarios in his notebook. There was a nice, quiet sensibility to Doug, even with the cartoony characters at the center of it. Disney's Doug continued with that, albeit with some changes here and there, most notably with Billy West not voicing the Tonto character. Instead, Tom McHugh voiced Doug, and I thought he made for a decent replacement. Jenkins and the writers did expect to find some viewers upset at the show moving to Disney and undergoing certain alterations, as the first episode revolves around Doug being shocked at Bluffington changing so much since we last saw him. The message of the episode attempted to reassure fans that change is normal, even in fictional animated worlds, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. However, there are many who hold negative views towards Disney's Doug. Despite the outcry over the newer episodes, Doug wound up a huge cash cow for Disney, reportedly much to Viacom head Sumner Redstone's annoyance. In addition to the usual merchandising blitz, a musical stage show was even performed at Disney MGM Studios for 2 years. I never saw it, although this is what the characters looked like. Maybe there's certain animated creations who don't translate to live action. The parks even had costumed versions of Doug and Patty Mayonnaise for meet and greets. With how big Doug was for the mouse, it's little surprise they approved the production of a direct-to-video animated movie. Well, it was supposed to go direct-to-video. I even remember seeing the trailer on the Lion King 2 VHS, advertising it as coming only to video in March 1999, under the title The First Doug Movie Ever. That changed when Paramount released the Rugrats movie, which became a big hit and hugely profitable. Disney then went, hey, we have a movie based on an animated show that used to play on Nickelodeon, and decided to put the retitled Doug's First Movie in theaters to try and replicate what Rugrats just pulled off. Many critics panned the film as just a longer episode of the show, while also saying it was better suited to be watched at home rather than on the big screen. They were not exactly wrong. At the box office, Doug's First Movie made $19 million, a tiny fraction of what the Rugrats movie took in months earlier. In an unusual move, the film was only given a VHS release, even though studios, including Disney, had already started putting their new releases on DVD in 1999. In fact, it took 13 years for Doug's first movie to be made available on DVD, and only through the Disney Movie Club. While reruns did continue airing on some Disney channels, and Doug Live stuck around at Disney MGM Studios until 2001, they seemed to lose interest in the show not long after the film opened. Disney shut down Jumbo Pictures in 2000, with Jim Jenkins and David Campbell starting a new animation studio named Cartoon Pizza the following year. They nonetheless continued working with Disney, producing shows for their preschool block like Stanley and JoJo's Circus. But Jenkins' most famous creation was left largely forgotten by the Mouse House. While Nickelodeon did start releasing the episodes they owned on DVD, Disney did not do the same for their episodes, nor were they made available online, with people having to rely on YouTube uploads to revisit the show. Until Disney Plus, that is, when Doug was surprisingly included on launch day. Nickelodeon has recently looked into bringing back their classic shows with revivals and movies. Hey Arnold, Rugrats, Invader Zim, and Rocko's Modern Life are a few that have made a return. Naturally, people have asked about Doug. Jenkins has said he has an idea for a movie that would revisit the characters when they're older. However, he said it's up to Disney, and they told him they currently have no interest in doing anything new with Doug. Maybe if Nickelodeon decides they want to do it, they could license Doug from Disney, which would basically involve giving them money without having to lift a finger. That seems like a pretty good idea, but Disney is not known for lending characters they own to other studios, outside of a few exceptions. That's why I was skeptical when reports started circulating about Paramount making a Nicktoons crossover movie. Doug was mentioned as part of the lineup, despite him being tied up at Disney. It's been a number of years since there's been an update on that project, so it's looking unlikely it's going to happen. Unless Disney changes their mind in the future, Doug fans will have to make do with the episodes that currently exist. Nonetheless, it remains an interesting case of how a character can move from one company to the next, how quickly they can go from embracing it to not paying it much attention afterwards. Nickelodeon's loss of Doug certainly played a role in how the network made deals with creators afterwards. And even though some don't look back fondly on the Disney era, I still have a soft spot for the further adventures of Doug, Skeeter, Patty, Porkchop, and Quailman, and have fond memories of tuning in every one Saturday morning. See you next time.